Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. And welcome to Positive Talk, everybody. I've got a really interesting show for you today because of a number of reasons, and we're going to get into all of them. And first of all, I got to tell you, you have got such a lovely smile.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
and it's great to have you here. You're an author, you're a teacher, you've been around a little bit and stuff, and we're going to talk about all of that and even more than that, because it's interesting. I want to understand a little bit about the school system, and I know you're teaching in Queens, Queens, New York, which is a whole bunch different than teaching in Richmond, Virginia, or in Florida, or any of those places. So, but and we're also going to talk about the fact that you teach. We talked about this on Monday with her, and I had trouble getting my head around what she does. And we're going to get into that in just a second. But first, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you so much, Kevin. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
And if you would please pronounce your name so that they can make sure that they get the right name to the book.
Okay, yeah. My name is Cathelina Duvert.
Okay, I can say that. Cathelina Duvert.
There you go.
Very good. I want to make sure that I get it right, because sometimes I have been known to get it wrong from time to time. And I wanted to make sure that I got it right for you, so that people would buy the book, and the name of the book is The Box.
Yes, it is.
And the box is what?
The Box is a book about a woman who goes on an emotional journey in order to find out the secrets of her mother, of her late mother, as she tries to understand her own battle with depression.
It's interesting that that's the subject matter, because that is so common. Because especially in mother-daughter relationships, a lot of times you don't know, especially when the mother has passed, you don't know the relationship that they had or what their intent was and all that kind of stuff. It does make it very interesting.
Yeah, thanks. I created a character who had a very complex relationship with her mother, and I purposely made it that her mother had passed on so that she can struggle with trying to learn the answers on her own.
And it takes a long time to try and figure that out. And not everybody, I've said this on the show before, but I had two siblings in me growing up. Whenever we would sit in a room and we talked about our childhood, it was like we lived in three different houses.
Everybody perceives it differently.
Exactly. You don't have money. I was the youngest, so I was the baby of the family, and I was the athlete and stuff. My sister was the oldest. She was the responsible one. My brother had no responsibility, and so he was the drug addict. But we had completely different experiences of what it was like growing up. And that's why, in trying to determine, especially when your mom's passed, when you're trying to determine by asking other people what their impression was, their impression is totally differently than what your impression would have been.
Yeah. And that plays a part in my novel, because my main character, Mia, has a sister called Nancy. And Nancy is very, very angry with her because she sees the way that she sees it differently. She has a different perspective of growing up in the house with their mother, and she's still angry about it, and she still hasn't let it go. So, and then they not come to terms, but eventually they have a conversation on how each of them perceived the way their mother treated them, and that was a large part of how the angry feelings that they had towards each other.
And a lot of it was stories that they told themselves
Mm.
for years.
Yes, yes, yes.
And and in some case, I have two sons. It just amazes me. I have two sons, and they will tell me, one of them will say, "Well, Dad, when we were kids, you did this." And I said, "I did no such thing." And then we'll have this argument about, and it turns out that it's a story
Mhm,
that he told himself so many
mhm,
times
mhm.
that he believes it,
Right.
regardless of what it is.
Yeah.
And that can lead to a lot of depression and a lot of misunderstandings and that kind of thing, can't it?
Yeah, I think we do that a lot more than we realize it.
Oh yeah.
I think so.
We do that and we don't even know that we don't really even know that we're doing it because we're just assuming that some of these stories are just fact.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And until somebody sets it straight and says, "No, that didn't happen that way,"
Mhm.
or whatever it is, but it can have a lifelong effect on somebody with their relationship with more than just one other person. It can have an effect
Absolutely.
on everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, so my main character in the novel, so her she has she has a best friend, her father, her sister, her boyfriend, and she has a different relationship with all of them, obviously, but they're all I'm not going to say toxic. They're all issues within each of those relationships, and it's because of how she grew up, perceiving how her mother treated her, and telling herself these stories that she didn't try to find out when her mother was still alive. So she's carrying around this burden with her in every relationship that she has.
It's amazing. My mother-in-law, who's passed now, was
Mhm.
adopted in 1930.
Mm,
And in those days, it was not necessarily a quote unquote official adoption.
mm,
Her father was an engineer,
mhm,
and so they had means, and so he
mhm,
went to Tacoma,
mhm,
Washington, where south of where I live, and picked up the child and paid some money, and that was that.
right.
Um, but the problem was my mother-in-law built a story around that was nobody loves me. Nobody cares for me. I'm adopted. My
Right.
mom didn't like me. My
Mhm,
mom hated it. It got to the point where it was not only didn't like her, she hated her. And
mm,
it was a terrible thing. So she went into depression and it affected every relationship that she had with her adopted family. The folks that tried to help her, the folks that tried to be nice to her, her
mhm,
mom, their dad, and her
mhm,
children, it
mm.
affected all of it, and it was all made up.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
found out years later that the child at 6 the mother was a 16-year-old child in 1930 that was in a home for unwed mothers and
Oh,
had
wow.
no say in the matter of whether or not she could keep the baby or not.
Wow.
But she never recognized that story
Mhm.
because you know what I mean?
Because
And
she lived so long with that story that she told herself.
yes,
Right.
and when the truth came out, she couldn't accept it.
Mm. That's terrible.
It ruined her life. She lived to be, I believe, 86,
Mm.
and her whole life was based upon nobody loves me because I was adopted. That was the
Right.
theme,
That's
and
so sad.
it is, it is, and but that happens, and in the box, you you paint the similar picture. I mean,
Mhm,
the circumstances are different,
mhm.
but it's kind of a continuing thing that goes on for folks until she figures out a way to get out of it.
Right, right.
And
Yeah.
how did you create the way for her to get out of it? Was it something that you've lived through in your personal life?
Well, so yes, in a sense, because I suffered with depression. I have suffered with depression since I was about 11 or 12 years old. And I didn't know that I had depression. This was about over 30 years ago, and we weren't really talking about depression back then.
Nope.
And in an effort to I guess, understand what I was going through. I've always been a writer. I've always loved writing. Even when I didn't realize that I loved writing, I was writing. And in an effort to understand or to journal, I guess, what I was going through, I started writing a story about a woman who had emotional issues. That's what I called it at the time, because I didn't know it was depression. And when I started writing this character, and I was diagnosed with clinical depression, I said, okay, that's what my main character is going to have. She's going to have depression. And now I needed to create a story around that. So I created a story with a conflict between her and her mother. I honestly don't even know or remember whether I used my conflicts with my own mother to create this storyline. I don't know where it came from, but I just came up with that storyline, that she had a conflicting relationship with her mother, and throughout the years as I was writing it, I had to develop that storyline. And I feel like I did it in a way that I was really proud of. So her depression is what we have in common, me and my main character, but the situation surrounding the depression is very different.
You know what is the most amazing thing to me, and I get it, and I see it all the time, and it happens again and again and again. Do you know what the number one thing an author will tell me?
What?
I haven't got no idea where that idea came from. It just kind of showed up. And I had a gentleman yesterday that he said, "How long did it take you to write the book?" And he said, 8 years. I said, "No, to write the book." And he said, 7 months. Because once I got everything in my head, and it was like a rush of writing the thing. So everything happened all at the same time, because I believe it's intuition based.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
And your intuition is, and I'm not going to pretend I know where it comes from. It's the energy that we all have, that we all live with, that the vibrations that we have. I personally think it comes from the other side, and your guides and angels and that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Other people, I don't care where it comes from, where you think it comes from. It comes from someplace special.
Mm-hmm. I agree. It's so funny. I was talking to somebody. I feel like it's so amazing. Like I could just be sitting on the couch, and I guess I'm in that zone, and all these ideas come rushing to me, and I'm like, I don't know where they come from, and I find it so amazing. And he was just like, well, that's your muse. And I was like, well, I guess it is. And I find it magical. I find it amazing. I find it beautiful, and I'm all for it. I don't know where it comes from. It must come from the other side, somewhere special. I just love it.
See, where I think the conversation kind of goes somewhat like this, because the same thing happened for me when I decided that I wanted to do radio, and
Yeah.
to do
Okay.
this style of radio,
Okay.
because I could have done sports, I
Mm-hmm.
could have done politics, I
Mm-hmm.
could have done any number of things, and I think I would have been okay. But
Yeah.
I chose this,
Yeah.
which was really quite special for me. But
Yeah.
it's like when I opened up and said, all right, guys, this is what I want to talk about. This is what I want to do. And they led me down that path a little bit. And when I said yes, they said, great, now we can go.
I love that.
And so then they said, so then there are a group of them that are on the other side, that are around like a round table for you. And they're
Uh-huh.
going, well, let's have her do this. And then let's have her do this. And then let's have her go, oh, and I know have her do marketing on the radio and on podcasts and stuff. And we'll put them, and my guys can't, I
Yeah.
could go on and on.
Yeah. I love that concept. I love it. I think it's great.
Just for me, it makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
and it works, because we are all, you were destined, you've been writing your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
You've written blogs, you've written a lot of different things,
Yeah.
and you wanted to be a writer.
Yes.
And so you were not, so when you said, okay, I'm ready, they said, poof, okay, let's go.
Yeah. Really,
which is,
basically.
which is really, really awesome. And so congratulations on the book. And the name of the book again is The Box,
Mhm.
and it is everywhere.
It's not everywhere, unfortunately. It's on Amazon. That's important. It's on Amazon.
Yes.
barnesandnoble.com and book. Oh, gosh, now I'm forgetting, but it's the independent bookstores online, bookshop.org. That's what it is, bookshop.org. And it's because I self-published it. It's not in all major. It's not on all major bookstores, but it is online. You can find it easily online.
I would like to suggest
Mm-hmm.
that a couple things. First of all, that if you are interested in buying this book, you go to a local bookstore, a mom and pop, and a couple who own their own bookstore, and you ask them to order the book for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because they could use the revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Amazon makes enough money,
I know. Yeah.
and all those big guys, but it's small booksellers that are the fabric of our community. And I would love to see you support
Yeah.
I would, and also, by the way, if you want a signed copy, I know somebody who knows somebody who can get you one. So if they want a signed copy of the book, they just go to your website, right?
Yes, I don't have a website, but I do have a landing page. But if you go on Instagram.com, on my Instagram page, which is at Cathelina Duvert, my entire name, you will find a link there where you can purchase copies directly from me where I can autograph it.
We need to get you a website too.
I know. I know. I have a landing page, but
I'm on it now. It's very nice. It's very nice.
Thank you. Thank you. Can I say something about what you had said before about going to a bookstore or mom and pop shop?
No, of course you can.
So one of the things that I've been struggling with is this anxiety that I have in going to bookstores and talking to the people there and telling them that I published something. And I don't know where this anxiety and this fear comes from, but I even posted it on Instagram where I want to go to, I went to the local bookstore by me, and it took me months to get up the courage to go in there, to talk to them and say, hey, I've just published a book. Would you be interested in carrying it? And so when I went in there to do it, I walked in, I didn't say anything to anybody at first. I just kind of looked around and tried to gather up the courage to speak to the person. And then when I finally did, she was like, oh yeah, you can go on our website and you can fill out a form. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was so easy. But since then they haven't contacted me, and now I'm afraid to go back. And there's just this really deep anxiety and fear about walking into a store and telling them that I've just published a book. And I know authors have done it, and I know nothing bad is going to happen to me. What's the worst that can happen? They can laugh at me and I'll still survive. I still have a published book. But there's this really deep-seated anxiety that I just have to meditate on, I just got to tell you, and I'm sure a lot of authors feel like this, but I feel it like really deep. Like I haven't, that's sort of, yeah.
Well, it's even worse than that, and it's even more insidious than that. When we come back from this break, being a former sales guy, what we're talking about here, it translates into the sales world. They call it a cold call. Where you walk in cold and you don't know anybody, and you're there to try to sell what you're trying to sell.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of gumption to be able to do that. We're going to talk about that when we come back, because we need to get you through that so that you can be, because I know you're proud of the work.
Yeah.
And people have told you that the work is good.
Yeah.
And so you should be proud of it, but we'll talk about that right after we come back from this break. And by the way, thank you for saying that and being so vulnerable, because there are a lot of people in the same boat, regardless of what it is, be it sales or whatever. A lot of people are there. So we're gonna see if we can help some folks when we come back right now.
You're listening to Positive Talk Radio. We're going to take a short break to tell you audio and music creators about our commercial affiliate, Lyric Vids, specializing in creating amazing and engaging lyric videos. Are you looking to promote your videos in the most engaging way, but you don't have an animator and an editor? Whether you're an artist, musician, or business with a message to share, our lyric videos are designed to hook viewers and amplify your reach. Go to positivetalkradio.net/lyric vids. That's positivetalkradio.net/LYRICVIDS now to get started. Welcome back to Positive Talk Radio. We hope you enjoyed learning about our affiliate Lyric Vids, who specialize in creating captivating animated lyric videos. Now let's get back to the show.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. I gotta tell you, I like that song so much. I play it all the time, but that's just me and stuff. But it's part of the opening part of what I do. But we're talking with
Cathelina Duvert,
and she is
author of The Box.
She's an author of The Box. She's also a teacher, and you know, there are a lot of people that when they're out of their comfort zone, like you have no problem standing in front of a classroom of 17-year-olds, which would scare the hell out of me, especially since they're all girls.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that in the second half of the show. But see, that would scare me. But it doesn't scare you because you feel confident in it.
Yeah.
In what you're doing. What the feeling that you're feeling is that, what if they don't like me? And it's that old feeling that we have that comes from our childhood. That is, what if they don't like me? What if they don't like the book? What if they're going to laugh at me? Well, and you said it. What are they going to do? Throw the book at you?
Yeah.
No. And most of the time, you'll get a very positive response.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it can very well be that this bookseller, that they said, well, just go online and fill this out and stuff and send it in, and it's sitting on somebody's desk. It's nobody's fault, and they're not taking it out on you, and they're not trying to treat you poorly. It's just an oversight. So just go in and say, oh, by the way, I filled out that thing and I did this and stuff. Have you seen it or heard of it or anything? And I think you'll find that you can get a real positive response, but I get it. I used to have a group of 12 sales guys, and part of their job was to go and drum up new clients, new sales. It was a food company, U.S. Food Service, and their job was to go in and to go walk into a restaurant, walk into a bar, cold, and do a little bit of research to what they sell and stuff, but to walk in and try and find them out who the manager is, and strike up a conversation and start moving the sales process along. And so we would go through that exercise and talking to each other about best ways to do it and examples and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, what I told them was, if you do not feel comfortable and confident in what you're doing, go home. And come back another day. But in your case, it might do you good to read some of the book, to remind yourself of the quality material that you're talking about here. And that, I want you to look at it another way. If you don't go in and talk to these people, they're not going to buy the book, and that book is not going to have the impact that it's going to have on that 17-year-old girl who's battling depression someday in the future, that you're going to be able to help. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
It doesn't help, does it?
It helps a little. It makes perfect sense, and it does help. I mean, to think that, in other words, my book can make a huge impact on somebody's life, but it's not going to make that impact. Sorry?
That's why you wrote it.
Yeah, that's why I wrote it.
Is to make that impact. Yeah. And if that impact, if you don't get the book out there, then it's, you know what happens? Nothing. It doesn't have the impact that you intended. So look at it this way. You're just the author, but you took dictation because this work came from the other side. So if it came from the other side, they want you to promote it and to market it, and they want people like me to support you in that. So, just go for it. Have fun with it.
Yeah.
I mean, let me paint you a picture. You walk in with that smile that you have. That, by the way, is $1 million smile.
Thanks.
You walk in with that smile and a heart and a jovial attitude and a positive attitude, and you will gain people's attention. They may not, they may buy, they may not, but you will have their attention. And that's at that point, that's all you can ask for.
Right.
But you are more talented. See, that's the thing. You're more talented than you think you are. And so you can do it. It's you simply just can. But you'll be all right.
Yeah.
You'll be all right.
Yeah.
Remember that the book was written for a reason.
Yeah.
And if you don't get it out there, then nothing happens.
Yeah. True. So true. Yeah. You're right. You're absolutely right.
So you've got and you've got the talent. You've been writing for a long time. You've gotten some great reviews on the book. You've done we were talking before the show, ladies and gentlemen, and I said and you thought that writing the book was going to be hard. But marketing the book is way harder.
Way harder.
And stuff. So, but you can do it. You can do it. Know that you can do it. And plus the fact, by the way, there's somebody in our audience going, hold on. Let me get this straight. You've got a beautiful young lady who has a great smile. She's a author. She's a teacher. She's got a great backstory, and she's written a book. And the book is out there, and she's a published author, and she's scared to tell anybody that she's a published author. I don't get it. There are so many people. Here I am sitting here trying to put words to paper, and I can't get past page 3. She's completed the entire process, and so they're saying I don't get it. But you know what I mean?
Yeah. I hear you. And it's funny because it's easy for me to do live podcasts like this. It's so easy for me to have a conversation with you knowing that a whole bunch of people are watching. I'm okay with that. It's okay for me to be at maybe a trade show where a whole lot of other people are selling their stuff and I'm there too. But when it comes to actually approaching people to come to my table, I put on the brakes there. It's just this whole psychological thing, being an introvert, being shy, all this stuff, just.
It may help you, and I recommend to everybody that do this. And I don't know, do you have a drama department at the school that you teach at?
No, it's a small school, but no.
I would highly recommend that you take some improvisational drama classes.
Have you ever heard of Toastmasters?
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah, isn't that what that is? Like improvisation?
It kind of is, but Toastmasters is they teach you to get up and be able to speak in front of people.
Right.
What improvisational drama does is it teaches you to think on your feet. Because what you're doing is, as an example, I was in an improvisational drama, and the guy that I was doing the scene with was supposed to be a grizzly bear.
Okay.
So he was acting all grizzly bear stuff-y and stuff. And I was a turtle.
Okay.
I was acting all turtle-y stuff-y and stuff. And so we created this dialogue about how the bear was going to fire the turtle and was going to fire me. And stuff like that. And we went on for like 5 or 10 minutes. And at one point, I said to him, "You can't fire me. I have a wife and 3 eggs at home." And it was so funny because he went beat, and he was ranting, and then he stopped to think about what I'd said because everybody in the audience was laughing. um, so it's a matter of creating just something off the cuff like that, but it's a skill. It's not the guys that are great at improvisational drama. That is a serious skill, but
Yeah.
it translates so well into so many different things that we can do, like sales, like getting up in front of people and talking. And recognizing that you have value and who you are, and stuff. So any way that you can get out there and stuff is tremendous. And you do really, really good in a podcast setting like this one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's all it is. It's a mental block that you have created for yourself.
I believe that. I believe that too.
And you can move past and get rid of it. We need to take our station break, but when we come back, I'm going to tell you, I'm not the best. I was just talking about it, and now it's have you ever had stuff just blindly go away? Anyway, we're gonna take a. Oh, I know, a cold call. That's it. I'm not a very good cold caller either, but I've learned some stuff over time to help me, and that's essentially all you're doing. And so you and I will be right back. We're talking with the author of The Box, and her name again is
Cathelina Duvert.
Beautiful name.
Thank
Beautifully
you.
said. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends who love and support you, look closer. There are youth right in your community who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. And for 50 years, Covenant House has worked relentlessly to keep them safe and protected. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. They get clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So look closer at Covenant House. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. And with my friend over there, her name again is
Cathelina Duvert.
That is just perfect. Do you know what happens in my life a lot?
What?
I'll be saying something and we'll be having a conversation, and then something will come up that will verify the conversation that I'm in the middle of having. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because in the commercial break that we just had, I pulled up, it's called Slack, which is a communication service between coworkers and stuff, and we use it sometimes. And my assistant just created a thing for Instagram that says, and something I said earlier, she said, she wrote, "Life is too short to wait for that perfect moment, which may never come. Take risks, follow your dreams and heart." And that's the advice that I would have for you today.
Yeah.
Because by gum, you can do it.
I know I can. I know I can.
Yes, and that's just the power of positive thinking too. You know, and there have been so many people that have talked about that and stuff, but the bottom line is it is not easy. It is hard, and because all of the things. Now I don't know, because you teach in an all-girls school. I don't know if this is a thing, but when I was in school, Do you know what it feels like? I don't know if you've had to do this. I had to do it when I was in school. If I went to a dance and there was a pretty girl that I wanted to dance with, I had to figure out a way and come up with the gumption to walk over there away from my guy friends
Mhm.
to ask her to dance. And the feeling of what if she rejects me was overwhelming. And it was really was scary.
Yeah,
Have you
yeah.
ever had that something like that happen in your life?
I'm sure I have, but I'm blanking out right now. The get getting the courage to do something at that moment. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I yeah, yeah. When I walked into that bookstore that one time, or
Yeah.
even yeah, yeah.
So it's but and by the way, when we get messages, we try and get them through. But Enrique Torres says hello. I'm Enrique from Mexico. I sent you a big greeting for your program. I have a sister who lives over there and a talented friend who is Holly Berry. And he says, give a hug to her. Thank you, Enrique. We're happy that you are listening to the show. That's really cool. And this is a show that you can get something out of because it's it has value because trust me, everybody. There are very few born salesmen in the world.
Mm,
Most people, it's a learned thing, and it's
yeah,
and you've just got to get through the point of where it's not scary anymore, and
yeah.
you treat it like a game.
Mm,
Now, keep in mind that I would think, as being a bookstore owner, yeah, you get people trying to get you to carry their book from time to time, I would imagine. But it would seem to me that they're interested in good books that'll sell.
yeah.
And if you can convince them that you are going to do what it takes to get that book to sell,
Hmm.
and you'll come in there and have a book signing and all that kind of stuff, and create some buzz
Hmm.
and that kind of stuff. I would think they would be happy to do that. I don't know,
Yeah.
but
It is a business after all, they have to look out for themselves, look out for how much they would be able to make off of your book. And if you're not willing to take that extra step to get the buzz going, then why would they trust that you would be a good fit for their store? And they don't know you, so
yeah. Well, but the other thing is that going on a bunch of podcasts and doing this sort of work does help.
yeah,
It does help a lot.
yeah.
So congratulations on doing that, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And you're going to do fine. I want you to repeat after me. You're going to do just fine.
I'm going to do just fine.
And you're gonna be successful. You already that's the thing. It kills me. Sometimes we don't look at our success as being what it actually is.
Well, success changes for everybody, right? Everybody
It
defines it
can.
a different way.
It can. So what defines success for you?
My success is that I actually finally published this book, because it is 25 years in the making. So that's my success.
As well as it should be. And that is perfect. 25 years of life experience is in that book.
Hmm.
And that's all that needs to be said, really. And so congratulations. Now, the other thing is that book is designed to help people, right?
It's a novel, yeah, but it's designed to help people think and start the conversation about depression, about what causes it, family dynamics. It's meant to do that, yes.
Yeah. So if it doesn't, at the end of the day, it doesn't necessarily matter who buys it.
Mhm.
Trust that the person who buys it, it's going to help them.
Yeah.
And trust that they're being brought to that book.
Hmm.
It's like people that are Enrique that's listening to the show, people that are being brought to this show because this conversation that you and I are having can help them.
Hmm.
And that is the crux of what we are doing. That's why you and I are in the media that we're doing, although you are doing so much more than that. And you have you are a teacher in Queens, New York,
Yes.
in an all-girl public school. How
Mm-hmm.
does that happen?
I don't know. It was created by a woman who really felt that girls would be able to thrive much more, much better in an environment where there were no boys to distract them. And I say, yeah, I go for it. I love that idea.
I'm sorry. So boys are distracting to girls?
Oh, yes. You have not experienced this?
I couldn't get a girl to look my way to save my life. When I was at high school, it was like, and I was even a star athlete, and it was kind of like,
Oh no.
yeah. So I didn't see. I didn't think they had any interest.
Mhm.
So sad. But no, I get it. I was just joking. So
Yeah.
I know that, and today's different too.
Mm-hmm.
Teenage. Go ahead.
ahead. No, sorry. Go ahead.
Teenage girls dress differently.
Mm-hmm.
They dress much more provocatively,
So yeah.
and it really. I went to my son when he was in junior high, and this is like in 6th and 7th grade in
Mm-hmm.
middle school, and there were girls that were wearing tight t-shirts that said "sexy" across the breast, and short skirts or pants that were or shorts that were really short.
Yeah.
I didn't understand how they got out of the house
I
dressed like.
know. So sometimes they don't go out the house like that. Sometimes they change at school or change on their way or whatever. It's not all the time.
Go
The
ahead.
school that I teach in emphasizes a school uniform. There are some girls who don't come dressed in their uniform, and we have to call home for that. But there is a dress code and there is a uniform.
That's pretty cool because I don't know. This is maybe a surprise to some kids, but school is there so you can learn,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not necessarily a social activity.
Right. Right.
I mean, it's nice when you can combine the two,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
learning should be number one. And I imagine you're a hell of a teacher.
I try to be. I find myself really, I'm strict in the sense that, I tell them if something is due, I always tell them honor the due date. That's my motto, honor the due date. And there's students who come up with all these excuses why they don't have their assignments in on time. And I don't have the patience for that at all. And all my students know that is the one thing that I won't tolerate. But I do joke around with them because I enjoy the company of young people. I joke around with them. I give them prizes when they do something great. If it's their birthday, we have a whole big thing about it. I try to be a firm teacher, but I also try to let them know that we can have fun in the classroom as well. Sometimes sometimes it doesn't always work. Like some students take it for granted that I'm kind of nice, but for the most part, I've had quite success with reaching some students, and I find it really, really enjoyable when I am able to reach them.
Well, and I'm glad you do reach them because there's a point in time when they're going to be 18 years old and they're going to graduate and they're going to have their gown and cap and gown and all that, and then they're going to walk out of there and then they're going to go, what's next?
Yeah.
Is it going to be college? Is it can they afford college? Do they know what they want to do with themselves?
Right.
Should they go into the military? I mean, at that point, they don't. A lot. When I was 18, I had no. I hate to think of how little I knew when I was 18.
Right. I know. When I was 18 and graduated, I knew that I loved writing, but I was like, but at that time I was thinking I can't make a career out of that, so I need to find a job. Yeah. So I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself at 18.
And I had, it was, and we don't set our children up by and large to have an idea. And you know, it's like I laugh at people that, kids that go, yep, I'm going to go into college and I'm going to get myself in a business degree.
Mm.
And it's like, well, kid, I got to tell you, I hate to break. Or another one is a hotel motel. I'm going to get a hotel motel restaurant degree. So,
Wow.
and so I tell them, okay, I spent my whole life in the restaurant business. So let me ask you a question. You're going to get a restaurant management degree so that you can work 60 hours a week for the rest of your life. Isn't that a cool idea? What do you mean 60 hours a week? It's like, that's what it is. That's the job. And if you aren't willing to do that, then I would do something else.
Yeah.
You know, but it takes time to learn these things. And if you can be a good mentor to kids, that's good. And I suspect that you're a good mentor to them as well.
I try. I really do. I because I feel like I want to be that teacher that I needed when I was in high school and middle school, because my teachers, they didn't all treat me very nicely. I was one of those kids that was an extra problem for them because I was I didn't take the concepts very quickly, you know. And so I remember my teachers not making me feel very good about myself. So I try to be that teacher that tries to make students feel good about themselves. Yeah.
And I want to, getting back to the conversation that we had earlier, that's one of the stories that is out there that you've told yourself, that because of this smart teacher person who wasn't so smart and wasn't a very good teacher was telling you that you are not capable or not good enough for this. And at some level, you now have accepted that as fact. And so you need to blow that up. That's not true. That's not true. You present yourself well. You've got a lot of talent in a lot of different ways. And I hate it because it happened to me too. It happens to all of us.
Yeah.
And
sometimes I even wonder if I'm that teacher to a particular student, you know?
It you can do it, and it can be insidious and you don't even know you're doing it. But at the same time, you can be, and I suspect that you are. How long have you been teaching now?
Oh geez, I think it's about 15, 16 years.
I'm willing to bet that there are kids that will come up to you in the street, at the grocery store, and they'll say, "Hi, Miss Duvert, I remember you, and you were great, and I loved your class." Has anybody ever done that?
Well, yes, I have gotten that. In fact, one of my former students from like 10 years ago actually came to my first book signing when my book first came out.
That is a validation, my dear, of who you really are.
Yeah. And he said he said right there, you know, in front of others, he's like, you were one of my favorite teachers. I've always remembered you, and I had to come out here to support you. That was really sweet.
It was more than really sweet. It was heartfelt, and it was real.
Yeah.
You know what we do as human beings? We spend a lot of time. Oh, he's just being nice. No, he meant every word of it.
Yeah.
And he did it, and he said it because it meant something to him.
Yeah.
And when my kids were playing baseball, I coached sometimes, and there was a particular kid that wasn't very good. He didn't play very much, and I would talk to him, and we would have a good time chatting and stuff. Well, at the very end of the season, I was totally shocked, because at the end of the season, he walked up to me and he said, "Mr. McDonald," and he started to cry. And he said, "This season has meant so much to me, and you have meant so much to me." It didn't even dawn on me that I was having that kind of an impact on him. And that's what we all need to look at, is what kind of an impact are we having on the people around us?
Yeah.
It can be a dynamically good one, or it can be a really crappy one if we choose to make it that way.
Yeah. So you're so right. You are so right.
So let's make it a dynamic, and I say that because my little league coach, his name was Scotty Reed, and they called him Scotty because he came from Scotland, and he was a wonderful guy, and he was a window washer by trade,
Okay.
and didn't have a team, didn't have a kid on the team, but he loved to coach, and he loved me specifically. He always fought to get me on his teams because there would be a draft every year as you went along in your little league years, and so he really wanted me to be on his team every year, and until I aged out at 12. He meant more to me than anybody in the world, including my father, who was busy making a living for the family.
Wow.
And because of his contributions to my life, I am in many ways the man that I am today.
Wow.
Well, 3 years after I aged out, he was washing a window from the inside out of the 5th floor of a convalescent center, and the window popped out. He fell out and died.
Oh no.
And to me, that was like, be aware of those of people and those folks around you that really love you and care for you, because you never know how long they're going to be there. And but all of that whole story is about him, and which is why I tell it in a lot, because it means so much to me, and and we can all have that kind of an impact. He didn't realize what kind of an impact he was having on this 10-year-old kid.
Wow.
But he did.
Yeah.
So be proud, and that's why you're a teacher. Be proud of the fact of who you are and what you do, and then go to that bookstore and sell them that book.
I know, right?
You can do it.
Yeah, I can. I know I can. Yeah.
I have enjoyed this conversation with you.
I have too. This was a really good conversation. Yes.
And we've got just about well, you know what? Let me do this. Let me play this 30-second ad, and then we'll get that out of the way, and then we'll tell people how they can find your book and go over the synopsis again and all of that kind of good stuff, and we'll be right back. You're listening to Positive Talk, and we're talking with my friend, who I can't pronounce her name,
Cathelina Duvert.
And we're talking about the book, The Box. We'll be right back.
A lifetime of savings can disappear overnight. Millions of dollars are stolen every day from unsuspecting older adults by family members, caregivers, and trusted professionals. If you suspect financial exploitation, call the Elder Care Locator at 1-800-677-1116 or go online to the National Adult Protective Services Association to be connected with help in your area.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. And we've got a wonderful author here. She's written the book, The Box, and you can go to Amazon. It's self-published. She's done all the work now. What she needs to do is just market it a little bit, and she's going to have 100,000 seller and stuff. So,
oh yes, I love the sound of that.
yes, indeed. And so I would love for you. We've got a couple of minutes left. I want to give you the opportunity to tell our audience anything about your journey, about you that you would like them to know.
Okay, great, thanks. So I have created this novel called The Box about my main character, Mia Hill, who suffers with depression. And I base what she feels, what she's going through with depression, based on what I experience with depression. So it is a story that's very personal to me. And the tagline for the book, so that it could pique your interest, is dive into the emotional journey of Mia Hill as she unravels the mysteries of her late mother's past, despite her family's refusal to help. Will she find the closure she seeks, or will the uncovered secrets consume her? Ooh.
So that was really good. As a matter of fact,
Yay! Thank you.
See, and so all you got to do was to walk into the bookstore and say that, and
I know.
you'll be golden. You'll be golden. So now you are also, because you love to write and you're a blogger and stuff, you've got another book on the way. Is that true?
I do. Well, it's not on the way yet. It's still in its very, very first stages. This one is going to be a story about a pair of twins, and yeah, that's as much as I have so far. A pair of twins who try to unravel a mystery about their mother. Oh my gosh, mother themes here.
Well, everybody has one.
Yes.
And and I've said this on the show before that if you're a mom, would you do me a favor, and when you give a kid a compliment, don't follow it up with a but.
Oh.
And what I mean by that is, rather than say, you did a really nice job on that report, but you could have done better had you done this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Leave it be at, you did a really nice job on that report.
Yeah.
Because after a while, my mother did not want me to get a big head whenever I did something well. Mm-hmm. And so she decided that she would tell me that I didn't do it well, as well as I could have. Mm. So she would say, you played a great game at catcher today, but, and it got to the point where all I heard was the but.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You didn't do it quite well enough. I didn't get the compliment. Compliment went right over my head, and it was like, okay, so she didn't think I did very well. Okay, well, that makes me feel bad. Yeah. And so don't put your kids in that place. You don't need to. Be kind and be loving, and I know that you work with kids every day. Mm-hmm. It makes them happy, and it lights up their face when you're kind to them, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And to your point, I make it I am very, very aware of when I write notes on their papers to not write great job, but I'm very, very aware of that because I've done it. I've done it. So yeah, I try to be as kind as possible.
Oh, and since you're a teacher, the one other thing that happened, I didn't have a lot of patience for school. I didn't like the spelling bees and that kind of stuff. We would do a spelling thing. I didn't really care if it looked nice. I didn't take a lot of time with it. I just wanted to get it done. Mm-hmm. But one time the teacher pissed me off. So I decided, all right, because he said, you just don't get it. You're just not very good at this stuff. And so I decided that I was going to do it well and do it perfectly. And so I took the time and I studied the material, and then I wrote it really well and made sure it was really clean. Then turned it in. And the next day, rather than him coming to me and saying, you did a really nice job on that, how can I help you do that every time? He presented this paper to the entire class.
Wow.
So he said, oh, look at this. And how I took that was, look at how this dummy can actually do the work. And I had some people that were not necessarily my friends in the classroom, and that's how they took it as well.
Oh, wow.
So you got to be careful about stuff like that. So
yeah.
So anyway, if somebody wants to get your book, they can go to Amazon, right?
They can go to Amazon. They'll find it there. Cathelina Duvert, put my entire name because I'm not a well-known author yet, so you have to put the entire name. And if you go to my Instagram account, you'll find all the information there in my bio.
And I am so glad you added that one word that means a lot. You added yet.
Oh, yes, I did add that. Okay.
You're not a famous author yet.
Yes.
Which means you have put it out to the universe that yes, indeed I can, and I will.
Yes, absolutely.
So, thank you for being here, my friend.
Well, thank you so much, Kevin. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation.
Me too. Hold on. Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got. That's